Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be diving into something that a lot of you have been asking about gold IRAs.
Oh, yeah. Those are getting a lot of buzz lately.
Definitely. Looks like a lot of you out there are thinking about diversifying those retirement portfolios and trying to figure out, if a gold IRA is a smart move for you.
Right, right. It's a big decision.
Huge. And to help us sort through all of this, we're going to be taking a deep dive into this really insightful article. It's called Understanding the International Regulations on Gold IRAs and How They Affect Your Investments.
That's a mouthful, but super important. I mean, regulations can be a real headache.
For sure.
Yeah.
So maybe we can start with, why so many people are even interested in gold for retirement in the first place. What's the big deal?
Well, I think it starts with, just people wanting to feel secure about their savings. I
Yeah.
mean, especially as they get closer to retirement.
Yeah, makes sense.
We've all seen, I think, how those traditional investments like stocks and bonds can be a little risky. The market goes up, the market goes down. It can be a real roller coaster.
Totally. So where does gold fit in, like, as a way to maybe safeguard those retirement funds a bit?
Okay, so gold. Gold has been a valuable asset, right, for centuries. I mean, it's held its value pretty well, even when other investments are, struggling. And a gold IRA basically lets you hold actual, like, physical gold as part of your retirement plan.
So instead of like shares of a company, I'd actually own gold, like a gold bar in my IRA.
Exactly. Like you own a piece of history, but it also acts like a safety net.
So it's different from a regular IRA then.
Very different. And because you're dealing with, actual physical gold, it kind of brings up some unique challenges, especially when it comes to, you guessed it, regulations.
Regulations. That sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah, they can be. For example, in the U.S., the IRS has very specific rules about what kind of gold you can have in a gold IRA. Yeah, it's got to be bullion or coins, and they got to have a minimum purity of like 99.5%.
Wow. I had no idea it was that strict.
Yeah.
So I can't just buy any gold coin and stick it in my IRA.
Not exactly, no. And it's not even just U.S. regulations that you got to worry about. It's also the rules of whatever country the gold is coming from, like where it's sourced.
I hadn't even thought about that. So how do those international rules affect, someone like me who's thinking about a gold IRA?
Well, think of it like this. Some countries, right, might have stricter laws around how gold is mined or how it's exported. And those laws, they can actually affect, the price of the gold. And sometimes they can even affect how much gold is available to, investors like you.
So it's a lot more complicated than just buying a gold bar or a coin.
It can be, yeah.
Okay. This already makes me think, like, why would anyone even consider a gold IRA with all these regulations? What's the benefit?
That's a great question. And the article, it lays out some really compelling benefits, especially for retirees. One of the biggest ones it mentions is that gold has a long history as what they call a hedge against inflation.
A hedge against inflation. What does that even mean?
Okay, so as prices go up, right, and our money buys less and less, gold has this kind of remarkable ability to hold on to its value. So it's like, protection for your savings against losing their buying power.
Okay, so like a shield for my money as things get more expensive.
Exactly. And that can provide, a sense of stability, especially when everything else in the world seems so uncertain.
That makes sense with everything going on. Are there any other like big benefits of a gold IRA that we should know about?
There are. The article goes on to highlight diversification, too.
Oh yeah, diversification. We hear that a lot.
We do. And remember how we were just talking about the risks of putting, all your eggs in one basket with traditional investments? Well, gold can provide that balance you need, that counterbalance, especially when the market is being all volatile and unpredictable.
Right, spreading the risk.
Yeah.
So especially these days, it seems like a pretty good idea to have some gold in the mix.
Exactly. And then there's this other thing. Gold is also known as a safe haven asset.
A safe haven, like a fortress made of gold.
Kinda, yeah. Think about like times of global crisis or, crazy political instability. What happens to those traditional markets? They freak out. They tend to, react really negatively.
Yeah, we've seen that happen.
But you know what? Gold tends to do the opposite. It often goes up in value as investors are, running around trying to find something stable to cling to.
So it's like gold is this steady rock in a storm.
Pretty much. It's got this long history of weathering the storms, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like gold comes with this whole sense of security, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are there any, like, downsides or misconceptions about gold IRAs that we should be aware of?
Oh, you're right on the money with that. The article, it addresses a few of those common misconceptions, those things that make people hesitate, or worse, that make them vulnerable to scams. Like, for instance, a lot of people think gold IRAs are just way too expensive.
Expensive? How so?
Well, the initial setup fees can scare some people off.
Yeah.
But the article, it stresses that the long-term benefits, especially for your retirement,
Hmm.
often outweigh those upfront costs.
So it's kind of like any investment. You've got to spend some money to make some money.
Right, right. You got to look at the bigger picture. And that leads to another big misconception, this idea that all gold IRA companies are, totally trustworthy.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
It is. And it's crucial to do your research here. The article warns about those companies that might try to, sell you gold that's overpriced, or they hit you with hidden fees and stuff.
Yikes. I wouldn't want to risk my retirement savings by, falling for a scam. So how can I make sure that I'm dealing with a reputable company? Like, what should I look for?
Okay, well, the article, it really pushes the importance of choosing a provider that has, a solid track record. They got to be transparent and have, like, real positive reviews from other investors. Don't just jump at the first shiny offer that comes your way.
So it's all about doing your homework.
Exactly. Take your time, research those companies, compare them, read reviews, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. So due diligence is key here. What about the whole process of managing a gold IRA? Is that like a complicated thing?
Well, that's another misconception the article tackles. It basically says that with the right custodian, managing a gold IRA is no more difficult than managing, a traditional IRA.
A custodian. What is that exactly and why is it so important?
Okay, so a custodian, think of it as a financial institution, right? They're the ones who actually hold on to your assets,
Hmm.
they keep them safe.
Oh, I see. Like a vault for my gold.
Yeah, something like that. And in the case of a gold IRA, the custodian is there to make sure you're following all the IRS rules and that,
Yeah.
your gold is being stored securely.
Just finding the right custodian is important then.
Super important for peace of mind and staying on the right side of the law.
Makes sense. So it's all about finding a trustworthy partner to guide you through this whole gold IRA thing, right?
Kind of said it better myself.
Okay, so let's say I'm convinced. A gold IRA sounds like it might be a good fit for me, for my retirement portfolio.
Hmm.
How do I actually choose the right provider? There must be tons of companies out there.
Oh, there are. And it can be overwhelming for sure. But the article actually offers some really good tips for navigating that selection process. First and foremost, you got to focus on reputation.
Reputation, okay.
Yeah, look for those gold IRA providers that have been around a while. The ones with a long history of being trustworthy and that have positive reviews from other investors, just like you would with any other big financial decision, right?
Absolutely. So a company's track record matters.
Big time. And along with reputation, transparency is huge, especially when it comes to fees.
He's right.
Yeah, you got to choose a company that's completely upfront about how they charge, their whole pricing structure. You don't want any nasty surprises down the line.
No hidden fees, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. What else should I keep in mind when I'm choosing a provider?
The article, it really stresses the importance of those custodian services. Remember how we talked about a custodian holding and safeguarding those assets? Well, you got to make sure that the provider you pick actually works with a reputable custodian. Someone with a really solid track record of protecting investments.
So it's not just about the gold IRA provider itself, but also the partners they work with.
You got it. And last but not least, you want to look for expertise. The best gold IRA companies out there, they've got those knowledgeable teams who can guide you through this whole process.
Oh, so it's like having a trusted advisor by your side, someone who,
Yeah.
gets gold IRAs and can answer all those questions I'm bound to have.
Exactly. It's like having your own personal gold IRA guru. And having that expert support, it can make a world of difference, especially when it comes to something as important as your retirement.
Totally. It takes the guesswork out of it, right?
Big time. All this info is great, but I think seeing like real world examples of how this all works would be helpful. Does the article have any of those?
It does. There are some really interesting case studies that show just how beneficial gold IRAs can be, for retirees.
Mhm.
For example, there's this story about Bob and Linda. They're this retired couple in their late 60s.
Okay, Bob and Linda, got it. What happened with them?
Well, they were worried about the stock market being so volatile,
Yeah.
and they decided to diversify their savings by moving some of their 401k money into a gold IRA.
Interesting. And did it work out for them?
It did. As inflation kept going up and the stock market was all over the place, the value of their gold investment stayed steady, and it even went up some. It gave them like a sense of security during a time when a lot of people were feeling, financially stressed. So it sounds like having that gold in their portfolio really helped them ride out the storm.
Yeah, totally. Like a safety net. And then there's another story about this guy, James. He's a retiree who spent his career in the tech industry.
Okay, James, the tech guy.
Right. And he saw what happened during the 2008 financial crisis. He was determined to protect his wealth, so he talked to a financial advisor and decided to set up a gold IRA. And over time, he's actually seen the value of his gold appreciate quite a bit.
So both of these people, they found some security and stability with a gold IRA, even though they come from, very different backgrounds.
Exactly. It shows how a gold IRA can be like tailored to fit different needs and different levels of risk that people are comfortable with.
I like that. So it's all about finding what works for you, right?
Absolutely. Now, before we get too excited about all this, we should probably talk about what the article suggests as like the next steps for anyone who's seriously considering a gold IRA.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what does it say?
It basically encourages you to keep exploring. And it really emphasizes the importance of getting personalized advice.
Personalized advice. Okay.
Yeah, like talking to a financial advisor, a real person that can help you figure out your own situation and see if a gold IRA really aligns with your goals and how much risk you're comfortable taking on. It's all about getting a plan, a roadmap for your retirement.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's like getting expert help to figure out if a gold IRA is right for me.
Exactly. The article also encourages readers to do their own research on gold IRA providers. Remember all those things we talked about earlier?
Right.
Reputation, transparency, custodian services, expertise, all that.
Right, right. Being an informed investor.
Yep. And to help with that, the article has this whole FAQ section, that answers some of the most common questions about gold IRAs.
Oh, that's great. Can you give us some of the highlights from those FAQs?
Sure. Let's start with the one everyone wants to know about taxes. One of the questions is, what are the tax benefits of a gold IRA?
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd want to know about.
So the article explains that just like traditional IRAs, gold IRAs have this thing called tax-deferred growth. It means you won't owe taxes on your gold investments until you actually take the money out, during retirement.
So my investment can grow and grow without being taxed every year.
Exactly. That can be a huge benefit. Another common question is, can I hold physical gold in my IRA?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I was wondering about that myself.
Well, the answer is yes. But the article, it makes it very clear that the gold you put in there has to meet those IRS standards, for purity and authenticity.
So I can't just throw any old gold ring in there, huh?
Not exactly. Quality matters when it comes to gold IRAs.
Okay, what else is covered in those FAQs?
Well, we've already talked about choosing a provider, so let's skip ahead to another big one. A lot of people ask, is investing in a gold IRA safe?
That's a huge question. I mean, it's my retirement we're talking about.
Right, it's a big deal. So the article says gold IRAs can be a safe way to diversify your portfolio,
Yeah.
protect yourself against inflation and all that. But it really stresses the importance of choosing, a trustworthy provider.
Yeah, those scams we were talking about before.
Exactly. It's all about reducing your risk by partnering with a company that's, reputable and honest.
So it's about being smart and doing your research. Makes sense. Anything else important in the FAQ?
One last one I think is worth mentioning. It's about transferring money from existing retirement accounts. The question is, can I transfer my existing retirement accounts into a gold IRA?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm sure a lot of people have money in, 401ks or traditional IRAs already.
Absolutely. So the article says, yes, you can definitely roll over funds from those accounts, your 401k, your IRA, things like that, into a gold IRA.
Oh, that's good to know.
But, and this is a big but, they strongly advise that you talk to a financial advisor first, just to make sure the transfer is done correctly,
Yeah.
and that it follows all the IRS rules.
So it's possible,
Yeah,
but it's best to get expert help to avoid any problems.
absolutely. Always better to be safe than sorry.
Wow, we've covered so much today. It's been a really informative deep dive.
It has. And you know what I think is so interesting? You reached out because you wanted to know more about diversifying your retirement portfolio, right?
Right.
And we've gone beyond just the basics of what a gold IRA is. We've talked about the whole idea of financial security, managing risk, and getting expert advice.
You're right. We've really dug deep into all the details, and I think our listeners have a lot to think about now.
I think so too. And while this article has a lot of good info, it's important to remember that this is just the start. Before you make any big decisions, think about your own financial goals, how much risk you're okay with, and talk to a financial advisor you trust.
That's a really important point. This deep dive is for educational purposes only, you know? It's not meant to replace personalized financial advice.
Definitely not. We're just trying to give you the knowledge, not tell you what to do.
Well said. I think this is a good place to stop for today. We've covered a ton of info, and I'm sure our listeners have a lot to process.
It's been great unpacking all of this with you. I always enjoy these deep dives into, financial stuff.
Me too. And it's been fantastic having your expertise to guide us through all the ins and outs of gold IRAs.
Ah, shucks. Now, before we wrap up completely, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So we've talked a lot about, the potential benefits of gold, how it can protect you against inflation and all that. But it's super important to remember that no investment is completely risk-free. Even gold, with its reputation as a safe haven, can go up and down in value.
That's true. It's easy to get excited about an investment, but we always got to stay grounded in reality.
Exactly. And that's where a financial advisor can be so helpful. They can help you understand how much risk you can handle, and what the potential downsides of any investment are.
Great advice. I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've given our listeners the knowledge, but ultimately the decision is up to them.
You got it. We've provided the tools and information, but everyone has to decide for themselves how they want to build their financial future.
Well said. We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into gold IRAs. We hope you found it helpful. If you have any more questions, or topics you want us to explore in future episodes, just let us know.
Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deeper.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Okay, so we were talking about those misconceptions surrounding gold IRAs
Never.
and how some people think that they're just way too expensive.
Yeah, I get it. Setting up a gold IRA, it does come with those initial fees.
Okay, but the article is saying that the benefits, especially for retirement, outweigh the costs.
That's the thing, yeah. You got to think long term, Those
Mhm.
benefits over time, they can really add up.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like buying a house. You got to put a down payment,
Yeah.
but it's worth it in the long run.
Exactly. It's an investment in your future. And speaking of investments, that brings us to another big misconception about gold IRAs.
Which is?
That all gold IRA companies are created equal. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, and it's so important. I can't stress this enough that people do their research.
Like background checks on these companies.
Pretty much. The article warns about those companies that might try to take advantage. They might sell you gold at a crazy high price, or they might sneak in those hidden fees.
So how do I avoid those shady companies?
Mm-hmm.
What should I look for to make sure I'm working with someone, legitimate?
Okay, so red flags, right? Watch out for companies that pressure you, they try to rush you into making a decision.
High-pressure sales tactics.
Exactly. A good company will take the time to educate you, answer your questions, make sure you're comfortable, and always, always check those online reviews.
Yeah, that's always a good idea.
Right. See what other customers are saying. And don't be afraid to ask for references, too.
So trust my gut, do my research, and take my time.
You got it. Now, what about managing a gold IRA? Is that like rocket science or something?
That's what I was thinking. It sounds complicated.
Well, that's actually another misconception the article addresses. It's not as difficult as you might think.
Really?
Yeah, they say that with the right custodian, managing a gold IRA can be pretty straightforward.
Wait, a custodian. We talked about this earlier, but remind me again, who are they and what do they do?
Okay, so imagine a custodian like a really reliable babysitter for your gold.
Okay, interesting analogy.
Right. They're this financial institution that holds your gold, keeps it safe, and they make sure everything is done by the book.
Following all those IRS regulations, right?
Exactly. They handle all the paperwork, the storage, the whole 9 yards.
So it sounds like finding a good custodian is pretty important then.
Huge. It takes a lot of the stress and the worry out of the whole gold IRA process, You can relax knowing that your investment is in good hands.
So it's all about finding a company with a great reputation and a trustworthy custodian.
You got it. Now, let's say I'm ready to take the plunge, I want to invest in a gold IRA. How do I actually go about choosing a provider? There's got to be like a million options out there.
Right. It's overwhelming just thinking about it.
I know, but don't worry. The article lays out some really helpful tips. The first one is super simple, focus on reputation.
Reputation.
Yeah, like look for those gold IRA companies that have been around for a while, the ones with a long track record of being trustworthy, And check out their reviews, what other investors are saying about them.
So experience and a good reputation are key.
Exactly. And along with that, transparency is super important, especially when it comes to fees.
Right. Fees. We talked about those tricky hidden fees.
Yep. You want a company that's upfront about their pricing, no surprises later on. It's like ordering something online and then getting hit with like a crazy shipping fee.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Right. So yeah, transparency is key when choosing a provider. And another thing the article mentions is the importance of custodian services.
Right, right. Those financial babysitters for our gold.
Exactly. You want to make sure that the provider you choose works with a reputable custodian, someone who has a solid track record of, protecting investments.
So it's not just about the gold IRA company itself, but also the people they partner with.
Exactly. Think of it like hiring a contractor to remodel your house. You wouldn't just hire anyone, right? You want to make sure they have a good team, experienced subcontractors, the whole deal.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's the same with a gold IRA.
Yep. And finally, the article emphasizes the importance of expertise. Look for those gold IRA companies that have a team of knowledgeable people, people who really get this stuff and can guide you through the whole
So
process.
it's like having a team of experts in your corner.
Absolutely. And having that support can make a world of difference. It takes away a lot of the guesswork and, helps you feel more confident about your decisions.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of the technical side of things, but I'm really curious to hear about some real-world examples, of how gold IRAs have actually helped people.
Oh, me too. You know what? The article actually includes a couple of really interesting case studies.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, they show how gold IRAs can benefit people in like real life situations. One of them is about this couple, Bob and Linda.
Okay, Bob and Linda. Tell me about them.
So they're in their late 60s, retired, and they were getting worried about like the stock market being so unpredictable.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Totally. So they decided to, move some of their retirement savings, their 401k money, into a gold IRA, diversify a little bit.
And what happened?
Well, as inflation kept going up and the stock market was being all crazy, their gold investments, they just stayed steady. They even went up in value a bit. It gave them peace of mind, knowing that they had this like safety net in place.
It's like their gold IRA was a buffer, protecting them from all the financial craziness happening around them.
Exactly. It really helped them ride out those uncertain times. And then there's another case study. This one's about a guy named James. He's a retiree who worked in tech.
James, the tech guy.
That's the one. And James, he remembers the 2008 financial crisis, how bad that was.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
Right. And he was determined to, protect his wealth from something like that happening again. So he talked to a financial advisor, and they decided to set up a gold IRA for him.
Smart move.
And over the years, he's actually seen his gold investments grow quite a bit. It's really helped him maintain his lifestyle throughout retirement, keep up with inflation and all that.
So it's like two very different people, but they both found, you know, security and peace of mind through a gold IRA.
Exactly. It really highlights how a gold IRA can be tailored to fit, different needs and different risk tolerances.
So it's not one size fits all.
Nope, not at all. It's about finding what works for you, your individual circumstances. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves, thinking about opening a gold IRA tomorrow, we should probably take a step back and look at what the article suggests as the next steps for anyone who's seriously considering this.
Yeah, good point. So what does it say? What should people do if they're interested?
Well, the article really stresses the importance of getting personalized advice, like talking to a real, live financial advisor.
Someone who can, walk me through everything.
Exactly. A financial advisor can help you figure out if a gold IRA is right for you, based on your own goals, your risk tolerance, all that. It's like having a financial coach in your corner.
I like that. So professional guidance is key.
Big time. And the article also encourages readers to, do their own research. Remember all those things we talked about? Reputation, transparency, those custodian services, expertise. It's all about being an informed investor.
Right, right. No impulse decisions when it comes to retirement savings.
Exactly. And you know what? To make things even easier, the article has this really helpful FAQ section. It answers some of those common questions that people have about gold IRAs.
Oh, that's great. Can you give us a sneak peek of what's in there?
Sure. One of the big ones is, taxes. People always want to know, what are the tax benefits of a gold IRA?
Yeah, that's a good one. Are there any special tax breaks or something?
Well, the article explains that, just like traditional IRAs, gold IRAs offer tax-deferred growth. So basically, you won't owe taxes on your gold investments until you actually take the money out during retirement.
So my money can grow and grow without Uncle Sam taking a cut every year.
Exactly. That can be a big advantage. Another question that comes up a lot is, can I hold actual physical gold in my IRA?
Oh, that's a good one. I was wondering about that myself. Like,
Mm.
can I actually have gold bars in my IRA?
You can. But, and this is important, the article emphasizes that any gold you put in your IRA has to meet those IRS standards, for purity and authenticity.
It's got to be the good stuff, huh?
Yeah, no fool's gold allowed. It's all about making sure that you're investing in, high quality, legitimate gold. And another question that a lot of people have is investing in a gold IRA safe?
That's a big one for sure.
Yeah, people want to know that their retirement savings are protected. So their article explains that gold IRAs can be a really safe way to diversify your portfolio and, protect yourself against inflation and all that. But they stress the importance of choosing a provider you trust.
Yeah, those scams we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. It all comes down to mitigating risk,
Right.
working with a reputable company that prioritizes transparency and security.
So it's all about doing your research and choosing wisely.
You got it. Now, the last FAQ that I think is worth mentioning is about transferring money from existing retirement accounts. A lot of people are wondering, can I transfer my existing retirement accounts into a gold IRA?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm sure a lot of people have, money sitting into 401ks or traditional IRAs.
Absolutely. So the article says that, yes, you can definitely roll over funds from those accounts, like your 401k, your IRA, into a gold IRA.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. It gives people a lot of flexibility. But, and this is a big but, the article strongly recommends talking to a financial advisor before you do any kind of transfer.
To make sure it's done right, I guess.
Exactly. They want to make sure that everything's done correctly, and that you're following all those IRS rules. It's always better to have a professional guide you through that process.
Okay, so it's possible, but it's best to get some expert help.
Exactly. Better safe than sorry, right?
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. I feel like I've learned so much about gold IRAs.
Me too. It's been a real deep dive, hasn't it?
It has. And I
Yeah.
think what's so interesting is that we started this conversation because you were curious about, diversifying your retirement portfolio.
Right. I wanted to explore all my options.
And we've gone way beyond just the basics. We've talked about financial security, managing risk, the importance of getting expert advice. It's been a really comprehensive exploration.
I agree. And you know what? While this article is packed with information, it's important to remember that this is just the beginning of your journey, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's always more to learn.
Always. So before you make any big decisions, think about your own goals, how much risk you're comfortable with, and talk to a financial advisor you trust. They can help you put it all together and create a plan that's right for you.
That's great advice. And just to reiterate, this deep dive is for educational purposes only. It's not a substitute for personalized financial advice.
Right. We're just trying to arm you with the knowledge, not tell you what to do.
Okay, I think this is a good place to pause for today. We've covered a ton of information, and I'm sure our listeners have a lot to think about.
It's been a pleasure unpacking all of this with you. I always enjoy these deep dives.
Me too. And it's been fantastic having your expertise to guide us through, the world of gold IRAs.
Ah, you're too kind. Now, before we wrap up completely, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
I'm all ears.
So we've talked a lot about, the potential benefits of gold, how it can be a hedge against inflation, a safe haven asset, all that good stuff. But it's so important to remember that, no investment is completely risk-free. Even gold, with its reputation as a safe haven, can go up and down in value. It's not a guaranteed win.
That's a really important point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential investment, but we always got to stay grounded.
Exactly. And that's why, getting advice from a financial advisor can be so valuable. They can help you assess your risk tolerance, understand the potential downsides of any investment, and make sure that your decisions align with your overall financial goals.
Sound advice.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've given our listeners the knowledge, but ultimately the decision is theirs.
You got it. We've provided the tools and the information, but everyone has to choose their own path, build their own financial future.
Well said. We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into gold IRAs. We hope you found it valuable. And if you have any more questions or, topics you want us to cover in future episodes, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deeper.
Thanks for listening, everyone. As we wrap up this deep dive, what really sticks out to me is how gold IRAs can be such a powerful tool for diversifying your retirement portfolio. It's amazing how something like gold, with all its history, can play a role in planning for retirement today.
What's fascinating to me is how this conversation goes beyond just, the nuts and bolts of a gold IRA. We've touched on bigger ideas like financial security, managing risk, and